Welcome to the Geek Pride podcast. This is Peter Ray Allison calling to you live, well, mostly live, half partly undead, from this chilly Monday evening. I say chilly, it's actually 19 degrees in Derby. It's October and it's 19 degrees. How did we get here? Anyway, I diverge, as always. So joining me tonight is my good friend, Jon Jo Cosgrove.
Hey everybody, and it's about 19 degrees here as well, so yeah, it's weird.
And joining us, our special guest is, well, who are you? What do you do? What's your thing?
Well, hello there. My name's A.S. Chambers, and I was on here like a few years back, wasn't I? 10 years. 10 years. I'm being sort of like told it was 10 years. I can't remember that far back. I'm over 50, but brain's gone. So I'm writer of urban fantasy, horror, various bits and bobs, normally centered around a paranormal investigator called Sam Spallucci. And I'm sure we'll chat about more of that. And my new book, which came out today,
Congratulations.
Very much.
So what is this new book? Please tell us more. Tell us more.
Right. The new book is called Child of Fire. And I've got to get it right because there's two Child of books. There's Child of Light, which came out last year, and Child of Fire, which came out this year. Both of which are novellas which are tied into the ever-expanding Spallucci-verse. And this one I'm rather pleased about because I wrote it rather differently. I had to sort of channel my inner teenage girl, which, as you do when you're in your 50s and male and balding and with a beard. But anyway, my youngest read over it and said, yeah, you weren't too embarrassing, Dad. And the difference for this one is I wrote it in first person present. So the whole story evolves as you're reading it. Which was really fun to write and rather fun to sort of like read on the way back as well.
Okay, so that sounds quite a divergence for your typical Spallucci tales.
Yeah, because Sam's books are normally like first person, but they're very much first person, sort of like past.
With hindsight.
Yeah, he's talking about what's gone and all the things he's screwed up, basically. Whereas this, so like as Amanda's been introduced into this sort of like dark world, she doesn't have a clue what's happening. So as a result, the reader doesn't have a clue what's happening. So yeah, it was fun to play with. So yeah, hopefully I'll get to have a little read of something for you later on.
Definitely, yeah, that was a great read. It said like the last time we saw each other like on the podcast was like 10 years ago. But I think before that, we saw each other quite a few times since then at various conventions. Then COVID came.
Yes.
And just decimated the event space.
Yeah.
What was COVID like for you?
Bliss.
Wow.
I'm completely antisocial. I didn't have to mix with anybody. And in 1 year, I got 6 books written.
Jesus.
Whereas this year I've done 2. It's like,
Can I just ask, when you're writing, do you have a very neat workplace? Do you think, I've got to have everything in a certain way, or do you just have everything everywhere?
It's normally very, very neat.
All right, fair enough.
However, sort of like 15 months ago, I became a grandfather. And the family are living with me in my 2 up, 2 down. So I am this is my study at the moment. This is the corner of my bedroom. I've got so much shite everywhere. my grandson has my study. There is a cot in the middle of the study and clothes everywhere. I cannot see my desk. This stresses me out too much, which is why I've only written 2 books this year, because you can only do so much in a certain space. And I loathe going off being that author in the corner of a damn coffee shop, which I have to do every now and then just to get stuff done. But yeah, I don't like chaos. Everything has to have its place. I have wall charts with sort of like the Spallucci-verse written out in timelines. I have calendars up on the side for different characters. None of that is here. I have a picture of Fortin Services. It looks very nice. It's underneath a picture of Jesus saying, "Yo, dude, we're gonna have some bread and wine," and a picture of me with my grandson, and that's it. Those are the prompts. So Jesus is going to come back as a zombie, have a party at Fortin Services while I cuddle a baby. That could be a next book.
Perfect. I'll read that one like a shot.
That
I
would
mean,
sell.
also, you sound like someone that plans out their novels quite rigidly. Is that a fair summation?
Yes and no. I know where they're going to end. I normally say so. I tend to write the end of a story first because I know where it's going to go. The Spallucci verse, I know exactly how it's going to end. I've actually written the very last story, which will be out in about 8 years' time or whatever, because I know how the whole universe is going to end. But I do give my characters sort of free reign. So there'll be plot points they have to like navigate between, but how they get there is very much up to them. Sam himself he's a bloody force of nature. And some of the side characters as they're developing now, likewise, I've got Lucifer in there, I've got Varian Vampires, and they've really started to get their own character going as well. Amanda in Child of Fire, you can't pin a 16-year-old girl down to do whatever you want. That sounded really weird. Yeah, that sounded very weird. You know what I mean.
We can edit that out.
We can edit that out. You can't tell them to do what they should be doing. You know, it's like, no, this is the good advice sort of thing from your older human being. They do what they want to do. And I found, again, with the sort of the first person present sort of storyline, that worked really well for that because she was able to develop very much as her own individual character. So yeah, I know where the story's going to go. How I get there tends to be a little bit fluid. Dare the Dragon, which is the next Sam one, which is due out next year. I had no idea how I was going to get from the beginning to the end. Again, I knew certain things were going to happen. I knew certain reveals had to happen, but the plot, I literally started and I wrote right through to the end, which is unusual for me. I tend to do bits and then join the dots. But it worked. It worked.
I mean, obviously, you are a gentleman.
Thank you.
In his 50s.
Mm-hmm.
How was it like how did you get in the mindset of a female teenager?
Yeah, good question. I'm a private tutor as well as an author. And so a lot of my pupils tend to be teenagers. So you can pick up all sorts of mannerisms, sort of like hip and happening language or whatever. You know, God, it makes me sound old again. Old. I had hair the last time I saw you. Not much, but I had some. But so yeah, when I was writing this, there was actually a pupil who I was tutoring at the time. So quite a few of her mannerisms sort of came into this. Bits of sort of like when my youngest was a teenager, sort of some of their sort of like attitude, and my youngest actually got to read it over for me as well, so they could say, "Oh yeah, that works. That works." No, we would not do that. One comment there was, "Dad, you are the only person I know who puts their phone on a cradle at night. We just stick it on something, and the fairies make it work." You know. So yeah, I had some advice and sort of like a little bit sort of like watching people.
I felt like I'm organizing Vampire Law for this Saturday, and I've been working with. I formed a company with a friend who's in their like 20s. So basically, they are literally old enough to be my daughter.
Oh.
And we've been picking up language off each other. Like I started saying "okay,"
yeah,
from them, and they started saying "blimey." Which I just think is hilarious. I think my turn to first. I picked up what I was saying. Just been a very weird, exchange.
Yeah.
But I do find the kind of like, I have for the past few years, I've just started getting really interested in language. Because obviously, I've got two teenagers myself, and just finding the words that they use and the words that I use, and how it kind of influences each of us vocabulary.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, just like, and I keep having a discussion like kids about what does that word mean?
Yeah, it is fascinating. I mean, language, I just love anyway. I like seeing how it's developed over the years, over the century and millennium. I'm working, well, I've just finished a novella which is coming out next year called Stones of Blood. not Doctor Who, and it's based around Tigress, who is one of my vampires. But it's sort of, I don't like the term origin story. It's the first part in a quadrilogy, looking at how she becomes the character she becomes. And this is set in the story when she becomes a vampire, and it's set at the end of the Neolithic, the dawn of the Bronze Age.
Ooh.
And again, really enjoyed doing it, but I had to be so careful with language because, okay, I can't have them sort of like talking in Neolithic. That although you probably just say the word dog a lot, as that is probably the oldest word in the English language. But there's certain anachronisms you can't have in there. It's like I couldn't call vampires vampire.
No.
Because that is a modern term.
Yeah.
So the vampires, although they're obviously they are the children of Cain in my universe, they refer to themselves as night walkers because that's what distinguishes them, as far as they're concerned, from the humans. Like they have to walk at night, so they are night walkers. It's only when they encounter a construct who's come from a much far future and know of vampires that they hear the term vampire for the first term. And it's because the construct calls them a vampire because that's what what a construct would call them post divergence in the future. So yeah, language.
Why did you choose the Neolithic era for the why did you? Because most vampire films are like most vampire origins are like 400 years ago, 500. So you can Victorian times, Middle Ages.
Yeah. My vampires have been around basically since the dawn of humanity. Yeah. The first one was Cain, as in Cain and Abel. In the Spluchiverse, Cain slew Abel. Cain got turned into a vampire by the fallen angel of Adam, sort of like not so much punishment, but sort of like, this is your life now, this is what you're going to do. And a wolf came along and drank the blood of Abel, and then the bloodline was born, which were the werewolves. So you have the bloodline of Abel, which are the werewolves, you have the children of Cain, who are the vampires. And it's already been established in the Sam books that Tigress is the oldest of the vampires. She's not the leader because of the way descendancy, so like it's like happened. But she's the oldest one, and we know that she was thousands of years old. So it ended up being the end of the Neolithic. And then I could have that real sort of playing with the idea of new and incomers. So you got the idea of the beaker people coming in, you got the idea of bronze coming in, and it's all new and it's different, and we don't like new, we don't like different, we don't like the incomers. And so it got a little bit sort of like topical, but Neolithic topical.
Yeah. Okay, so you could like play on modern themes and politics and concerns, but with a kind of a very Neolithic aesthetic.
Yeah. And just up the road I got Casric Stone Circle, which again I've used in the Sam books, and we know it was a center for this, that, and the other. So I set Stones of Blood there, hence Stones of Blood.
Yeah, I must admit, like during the COVID, I got really into local history and folklore because we couldn't go anywhere. So I just went for walks around the village where I live and kind of start digging around, like, oh, there's so much history here. And just like digging into it, and you find this, like, you actually go outside your door and start looking around, finding like the monuments, the ruins, and like the old Motte Bailey, the old Bronze Age roads. There's so much history to be found just on your own doorstep.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff which you just don't notice is there as well. If you walk past on a day to day, it's like I live sort of like near Lancaster Canal. I walk down the canal, you end up behind one of the high schools.
Yeah.
And it's called Ripley St. Thomas, and they have sort of like a lot of land behind the school which goes down onto the canal, and there are these ridges and people know it as Ripley Heights because it's high up down to the canal. And most people will think, it's the works from when they built the canal, whereas the road opposite is called Cromwell Road, and there's Cromwell Pond. But what it actually is the embankments where the Roundheads had their cannons for firing over to Lancaster Castle, a mile away. And you don't realize that's how far these damn things could fire.
Yeah.
No, Lancaster was under siege, and that's where they set up. So what looks like some sort of ditch digging, and they piled up all the rubbish, was actually embankment for cannon work.
Oh wow. Yeah. I mean, like, I was looking around it. Look, I've been doing a lot of stuff with vampires the past year because of Dracula Derby, and I found out recently that there's like so much folklore on vampires as well. Like you've got the Shardmore vampires, and that's on the 10th century. And it's like there's so much history up there. And again, we just, until COVID, I don't think any of us really appreciated it because we were kind of locked into where we lived and we had to kind of go out for walks.
Yeah. That is, I did a lot of walking during COVID. I got I've always done reasonable amounts, but now I do all the long distance stuff. So I end up doing like 27, 30 mile in a day. And that tends to be the norm.
That's me in a week.
I get bored in the morning, like, oh, what should I do? I'm going to nip up to Kendal and walk back.
Oh, wow. I mean, like, I get on my bike, but yeah, that's normally about 7 miles, 10 miles on bike. But yeah, just nip up to Kendal.
Just £2 on the train. Yeah, you can't grumble, and you just walk back. Thing is, I'm walking back going, I did this a lot quicker this morning when I was on the train. Oh, well. No, it's good fun. It's good fun, and it clears the mind,
Yeah.
I'd literally come straight down Lancaster Canal. You come down the northern reaches, which are sealed off. Then you get to Chewitfield, which is halfway, and you walk straight down into town, and you can't get lost. So it's just beautiful.
Yeah. I must admit, there is something like, it's almost meditative. I think when I'm cycling, I'm just kind of walking around and cycling around, it's kind of enter that zone where you just kind of, you don't think about where you're walking, you just kind of, cycling, you just kind of doing it, and your brain just starts wandering off and randomly solves problems you've been stuck in your head about for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I tend to plot books. I'll spend the first hour having a good old rant about life, get that out of the way. Then the silence descends for another hour, and then it's like the next 8 hours, it's plot, 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 plot. Normally,
I mean, you've got this ever-widening Spellucci verse with multiple characters, timelines, calendars. How do you keep track of it all and make sure that's all cohesive and doesn't conflict?
A lot of note taking.
We get that. You've got all these notes, but how do you collate them? So you kind of, I need that note. So that means I need to, where is that note? Because I mean, I used to do notebooks, but then notebooks were great for writing stuff down, but then trying to find the stuff I wrote down became a nightmare.
Yeah, I embraced the digital age.
Yeah.
It's filing system all the way. I have, so I mentioned, I've sort of like, in my study, the other room, I have sort of like whiteboards with stuff written down, but then I'll have, I've got diaries, because the whole events of Sam's books start in October and they're finished by April. All 10 books can be set in that period. So
yeah,
I actually have diary entries for what's going on, with diary entries for the books which cross over, because sometimes I have up to about 3 books crossing over on one scene. You really have to make sure you know your onions on that one. But then I'll have folders in notes. I'll have folders on my hard drive which I can access remotely, for all the different characters. And if I think, that's definitely going to be something I need to refer to, I'll make a file about that, tag it. And so the idea is I should be able to go in and in and in. And if I know that I'm going to be referring to something which happened in the previous book, I go away and I make sure I read that book before I start writing about it. Because otherwise you just end up pig's ear, and I could not live with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know. What's your view on your previous work? I know some writers will kind of write something, edit it, edit, and by the end of it, they're just sick of it. They do not want to, they won't read it anymore. They've just had enough of it. Given that you're going back to your work and reading again, how do you find that process of kind of rereading works you've already written?
Depends what sort of frame of mind I'm in.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy reading my stuff, which is kind of good because I'm writing it, so I don't get too bored. Because if you got bored and writing your own stuff, you're doing something wrong. But yeah, Sam's an engaging character, so you can sort of like dip into a conversation with him almost. Now, Casebook obviously is the first one. I've had to reread that about 4 times. So I more or less know that's standing on my head now. So I don't have to reread that as much. It tends to be sort of like the middle ones now, from sort of, I'm looking up there on the shelf up there, from say Shadows through to Fury. They're the ones I tend to have slight go back and re-reference again.
Yeah.
But no, it's enjoyable. It's like, I don't know, putting on an old pair of slippers you've been told to throw out because they got holes in. But they're still comfortable.
When you look at your old works, when you look back at like some of the earlier books, do you go through it and honestly feel surprised? You go, "Oh, I don't remember writing that," or
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
I wasn't expecting that bit."
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, best fun in the world, you try to remember everything, but there's going to be little things which crop up, which is why it's so important. If you're doing like I do with this whole universe and expanded universe, you have to go back and just, make sure you've got things nailed. Trying to think, there was, yeah, Sam has been to heaven a few times for varying reasons, and I had to go through and so I check just how many times he'd gone and how he got there. So it's sort of like, okay, how do I do this? Do I go through and read the books, or do I do a search through the folders? So, like, let's search for heaven. Oh my God, I typed heaven a lot of times. But so it's like, let's narrow it down, things like this. So, who would have taken him? Okay, so he was taken him by a chihuahua on that time. Because, that's what chihuahuas do. They take you to heaven, not necessarily by savaging you. They could be friendly chihuahuas, especially if they're actually angels. But so, yeah, and then you just narrow it down that way. Use like searching the folders. Yeah, I'll say I love digital technology. I know it's quite sort of like, I don't want to say fashionable because that sounds patronized, but it's quite in vogue to sort of like do everything in notebooks again, go back to being a like analog thing, and ditching tech. If I did that, I would not function because I have so much stuff and so many things I have to sort of like just refer to. I have to do it digitally.
Yeah, I've got like a gorgeous notebook. It's like cloth bound with Chinese dragons on it. Beautiful blue background with gold dragons. It's like handmade as well. And it was kind of given to me wrapped in paper and tied with string and a wax seal. I didn't open it for a week.
No,
because it's like, how could I do? You like, I eventually broke the seal after about a few weeks, and then opened the book, and it's gorgeous. And it's like, I'm not going to deface this with my writing, my scrawl. So I've had it for about 7 years, and I've never even used it. But it's just like, yeah. I mean, and as you say yourself, I mean, I like electronic electronic notes, because it's there and I can search it.
Yeah.
Search function has been a lifesaver.
Oh, yeah. I mean, say if I'm out walking, I get the phone open, I'll just dictate onto the note as well.
Yeah.
Which means I've got it down, but it also means I then have to go back over it the next day to make sure everything's right. Because, of course, it's going to get certain words wrong, normally names, and I cough and splutter and whatever. So I get that process of editing before I start writing.
Do you have a preferred like note-taking app?
I just use Notes on my iPhone.
Right, yeah.
But it syncs through to everything,
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so handy.
Yeah, I mean, I use kind of Google Keep, which is effectively the same thing, but it means I can like go on the PC, on my phone. It's always there.
Yeah.
And I used to use Evernote, but they kind of that just got more and more put behind pay. What's the point of being unusable?
Yeah.
And so it's Google Keep. But yeah, I mean, one thing I want to ask as well is like when you're writing the vampire in the Run Neolithic Age, language is very much situational and of its time. So the words we use now, we wouldn't use then. Now, when I was writing The Sound of Latex, it was kind of this comic fantasy tale. I just completely ignored that. So I had people referencing Pirate Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of really kind of played into that. The lack of the anachronicity. But for you, you kind of gone the opposite direction. So how did you kind of get in the mindset of like the Neolithic would not speak like this? They would not use bottle or cup.
Mm. Um, the interesting one was, I mentioned earlier, was dog.
Yeah.
And dog is one of the words in the English language we don't know where it came from.
Okay.
Because it has no exterior roots from the English language. So, for example, French "chan," and then you've got Latin, which is "canis," which obviously gave us "shan."
Yeah.
So
K9.
K9, exactly, that's right. And then from the German, from the Saxon and whatnot, we have "Hund," which gives us "hound." So you would expect us to be calling them hounds or canis or canine or something like that, but we don't. We call them dog, and we don't know where that came from. It's not even Gaelic, because Gaelic is it's key, ci.
It is.
Yeah, in the Welsh. So that's possibly come from Indo-European, I guess, because that would be similar to where the Latin has come from, which means dog probably precedes it, which means dog is probably Neolithic, which means it's probably the oldest word in the English language, which of course would sort of make sense because, we started making friends with these furry little wolves back then. So it's fascinating. So when I was working on Stones of Blood, you get all the old sort of like stories where they refer to the man having the hound. I was like, no, I can't use hound. It has to be dog, because dog is going to be older. Cup, like I say, is another interesting one. It's I sort of use cup, but then of course I'm using beaker as well, because you got the beaker people coming in, but they wouldn't have called it beakers. So I use cup more because it's a simpler word. There's lots of references to pigs, because pigs would have been used. So I've got pig and swine in there at the moment, but I want to decide which one I want to really use.
Yeah.
I think swine again is probably going to be a modern one. I think it's Germanic swine, Schwein,
Shrine.
Yeah, so whereas pig is probably, again, it feels like it's going to be older because it's a simple word, even though we probably think of it as being more modern. So it's one of those things. I've got 4 books to write. One which was obviously the Neolithic, one set in ancient Egypt, one set in Harappan culture, and one set of the fall of Troy.
Wow.
And when I've written all 4, then I will go through and say, right, let's do this language tidy up. Let's make sure things work.
Would there be any kind of cultural carryover? Like a character that came from the Neolithic would still kind of use certain words from that time in the Egyptians or the Fall of Troy?
What you mean? So like the character would use the same language?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, even in sort of like Sam's books, when Tigress is sort of like having a good old rant, it says she's ranting in a language which she doesn't understand, or say, "Oh, for the sake of the gods," and things like that. So yeah, that you get those little things which you learn as a child, you hold as a child, even thousands of years later, they're still going to be there in your subconscious, and they've all come through. So yeah, one thing which I did find kind of interesting. There's a character of mine who's sort of like a vampire called Thor, and in the Bobby Normal books, which set post Divergence, so far future, he has this whip, which has a steel hook on the end, which looks like a claw, where he got his name from. I didn't realize that iron was actually around in the Bronze Age. Like most people, you think, oh, it's like we had stone, then we had bronze, then we had iron.
Iron.
Whereas iron was actually around quite a bit in the Bronze Age, it just wasn't mass produced as much.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have this hook, this claw, originally be used at Troy. And it's been noted as an unusual weapon used by one of the Greeks, Ajax, probably using it when he's going around, ransacking and pillaging and stuff, as Ajax did. And then it's going to get left in Troy. It's going to end up in a museum. And that's how Claw is going to end up with his claw, because on the day of the divergence with the constructs rise, he's going to be in this museum and he uses one to take out, so they're also like linked together.
Okay, so but that again must kind of take a lot of planning to do it.
Yeah, it's
properly.
making sure things are in the right place, making sure that things could happen.
How long do you take planning out one year? So this sounds like a very meticulous process.
These 4 books, considering they're only novellas, they are taking a lot of planning.
Yeah.
I'm not going to publish any of them until all 4 are written, because I know damn well I'll write one, publish it, 2 books later, yeah, there'll be much weeping and gnashing and wailing and all that sort of business. So yeah, these have got to be done like this. Sam's not so bad like that, because of course Sam is modern day.
Yeah.
The only thing which is kind of weirdly anachronistic in Sam is there'll be things which he's vaguely referred to in politics in Casebook, which are now sort of out of date.
Yeah.
Certain ones have come back round again, because he did refer to Nigel Farage in Casebook, and I was like, oh well, no one's going to hear of him again. And here we are, like, oh Christ. So
is this a roundabout way of saying it's your fault that Nigel Farage is still being mentioned?
Yeah, I know. I've also got terrible things happening in the Middle East as well in my books. So yeah, I've got to be sort of like some weird prophet, because I've got Nigel Farage, got things happening in the Middle East. And in Shadows of Lancaster, I had somebody steal the Eric Morecambe statue in Morecambe. 2 weeks after I wrote it, somebody tried. So there we go.
Okay, not your fault.
It's not my fault.
Actually, I remember reading that Charles Stross, when he's writing the first the Laundry Files books, the Trusty Archive, he had this kind of, he came as like, he needed a protagonist for the novel, and thought, well, I need some weird, craze, fundamentalist offshoot from the Middle East group. And you can guess where he went.
Oh.
And yeah, then 9/11 happened, and a lot of rewriting.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's like,
There is this thing, isn't there, about when real life events come into play, and you're like, right, something that's either in development or something that is already out there. An example I remember was when the first Spider-Man film came out. They had this whole big trailer set to when Spider-Man saves the helicopter, but he webs it between the Twin Towers.
All right, yeah.
And that advert came out just a matter of days before obviously 9/11 happened. And then they went, oh, no, don't worry, that's not actually in the film. We're going to remove that trailer altogether.
Yeah.
I remember, this is a big challenge you have with writing near future stories, because you're trying to predict what's happening. But sometimes life will throw a curveball at you, and it also acts as sort of APB, that the TV series from about 10 years ago. Basically about an engineer. Basically, it's like what would happen if a tech bro, this technology inventor, bought a police force in order to solve his brother's murder. Now, 10 plus years ago, that would have been fine. But nowadays, with the kind of the tech bros we have, the militarization of the police, that wouldn't get made now. No. And it's very weird culture, because moods, people change, evolve, society changes, and in ways we cannot predict.
I look at the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking zombie apocalypse. Oh, hello. You know, it's this thing is
Did you ever watch Kingdom?
No, no.
It was a Korean TV series about a a pandemic that caused turned people into zombies. I was watching that in early 2020, like February 2020. Then March came,
Yeah,
and then April, and suddenly I didn't want to watch a TV series about a pandemic that turned people into zombies because it was happening right outside, barring the zombies.
yeah. I was reading Children of Men.
Oh,
I got about halfway through and I stopped. Yeah, once I started burning people on boats, I went, yeah, no, we're not. I've come back to this in about 10 years' time. If we're
yeah.
Yeah, that I think when the pandemic came out, it was just a few when the pandemic came out, Jesus Christ. When the pandemic was happening, it was just a few months after the video game Death Stranding had come out. And
Oh, yeah.
that was a lot about isolation, people obviously living away from things that they didn't understand, these big events that were going on that were claiming lives, and it at that time you felt like, oh, this is a very weird concept. Then 4 months later, you're like, wow, is Hideo Kojima predicting the future? This is very, very weird. And you got this one guy who is, trying to keep the world together. He's going place to place. He's like, yeah, look, I know you can't go out, but here's your supplies. Here's what you need. Oh no, I'll take that for you, and all this. And it really felt a bit. I think that's probably why I stopped playing it originally, because I thought, this is feeling a little bit too real now. This is very, very. And then a few months after that was when Last of Us Part 2 came out, and it was like, oh yes, yes. Another thing about a world inflicted by a big virus, and everything's not the same, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't know about you, Mr. James, but I've noticed like there's been sort of a kind of a divergence away from zombie horror fiction
Yeah, I
the
was just
past few
thinking that as
years.
well.
And also pandemic-based ones, like anything but viruses or zombies. No, nope.
We've had enough of that, and it's sort of like, oh well, the whole thing was just sort of like, yeah, no, we were sat around in our underpants eating Cheetos for 5 years, or whatever. Nobody came to save us. Yeah, so yeah, I don't even know if it's sort of like whether it's sort of like people saying, oh, we can't touch that, or otherwise people won't watch because they're bored of it.
Yeah.
Apart from 28 years later, that
yeah,
obviously, I think that struck a nerve. But if anyone's seen that film, there's something there's two particular scenes I think really did get people, like really like divided people, especially at the end of the film. If anyone's seen it, you'll know why. It's not good.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm not a fan of 28 films.
What?
I like the opening of 28 Days Later. I thought the way they portrayed the empty London, that was really, really good.
Even better is if you watch the filming of that. That is incredible.
Yeah, but I just found the characters obnoxious. I thought the portrayal of the soldiers was disingenuous. I mean, soldiers like, oh, right, okay, right. No, the soldiers are incredibly well trained to deal in high pressure, high stress situations. And then I tried watching 28 Months Later, and I just can't. No, there is one brilliant film that I do recommend, and that is The Marshals. And the name blanked me. It's the one set in Scotland.
Oh, not Dog Soldiers.
Not Dog Soldiers, no. That was his first film.
Oh God. I'm gonna have to Google it now.
I'm literally just doing that right now, so please excuse me. This is going to make great podcast material, isn't it? Doomsday. Doomsday. And that was really nicely done. That was a fun post-apocalyptic virus film with kind of quasi zombies, but it was not It was
Oh,
done for. It was basically a homage to kind of 1980s action film, a
yeah.
combination of Escape from New York and Mad Max.
That's the Bob Hoskins one, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I do remember that now. I remember watching that late one night, and I think it was just like, oh, okay, I'll give it a watch. I was like, it's pretty good. But yeah, I don't know why. I think I prefer Dog Soldiers though.
Talk Souls was better, but well written. It was just the writing, the dialogue was just so
It
quotable.
and just very well acted as well.
It's
Yeah.
still on my to watch list. You recommended it to me
Oh.
years ago.
Yes. Oh,
I've got the DVD. I've just not got around to watching it yet.
it is. It's not a werewolf movie.
Mm,
It's a soldier movie with
yeah,
werewolves.
yeah.
And again, what I was saying about the soldiers in 20s, this portrays soldiers. So I know swaddies that have sat down and watched that film and gone, yeah, that's how we would act. Because it portrays them. I mean, like the classic example is they will bicker amongst themselves, no end. They will, tease, mock, insult each other. But as soon as someone outside their circle picks on one of them, it's all band together. And no, we can pick on him, you can't.
Yeah.
And that was the nice, and also the fact that when they see something, they eat. You go into a house and there's something to be eaten, they'll eat it because they don't know when they're going to eat again.
Yeah.
And that was just like something from their basic training. But yeah, and they fight as a unit. Like they're trained to fight in those situations, and like they work together. Again, it does that really well in the film. It kind of shows that camaraderie, the inherent structure. Like you've got the Sarge, you've got the not lieutenant, the first class, and then you've got the squaddies. And like and they stick to that.
Yeah.
So like if the Sarge is down, we know who to look to next. And I found it didn't have that essence, the verisimilitude that Dog Soldiers had that in 28 Days Later, because you're just like, you're just kind of making soldiers be the bad guys because then you need bad guys. And it's just like, that could have been better. I mean, I am not in any way, shape, or form supporter of armed forces. I know I appreciate what they do, but I'm not a warmonger by any stretch of the imagination. But it's one of those things that, like, if you're going to betray a group, portray them faithfully and respectfully.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? You don't want to be sort of like, it's almost like Pirates of the Caribbean, where you're the British soldier bad guy, and
yeah.
It makes a difference where most films are British people playing, a German or a Russian. They just went, oh no, just the British are actually bad now. Why not?
well, look at Die Hard.
Oh yeah, but come on, Alan Rickman is just awesome, and Jeremy Irons as well with A Vengeance.
Yeah, I mean, and also, who was it in? Not with Vengeance, in Die Hard 4.0.
Oh, that was Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah, Timothy Olyphant. Yeah, he was great in that as well.
He was. He was. Funny enough, I did a rewatch of some of the Die Hard films a little while ago, and I only watched the first one with A Vengeance and Die Hard 4. Because Die Hard 2 I'm okay with. I don't mind it, but I remember rewatching it a little while, well, a few years ago, and I just felt bored.
It's basically a recreation of the first one, but in an airport.
Yeah.
And
then Die Hard.
So
the only thing I remember about the second one is Chief O'Brien getting killed on the plane, because he's the one bringing the plane in it.
Oh yeah. And you cheered. No.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
And
then Die Hard 5 is just so bad.
Well, let's just say my wife and I were laughing through that so much. Because well, my wife and I are both engineers. I've got an Indian wife is an engineer, and we're just going, physics doesn't work like that. Oh, you managed to make tabs that immediately neutralizes radiation. Wow. Why aren't you marketing that rather than trying to steal something from a sarcophagus? Because if you sold that around the world, you would make billions. Rather, the thing in the sarcophagus would make you millions. Just stuff like that is just no.
And because it was around that time that they were just trying to put Jai Courtney in basically every action film. It's like, this guy's going to be a big action star. And it was like, no, that didn't work. then they put him in the Terminator franchise. Nope, that didn't work either. And they made him Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad. It was like, he's actually pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, and also when you're kind of researching groups for your organizations, how much research do you do? I mean, obviously you read a lot, but do you kind of go out there and kind of speak to people? Do you kind of go out there and kind of how much research do you do for your books?
My books. Yeah, lots of sort of like, because mythology is my thing.
Yeah.
Back in the early 90s, that's how I ended up in Lancaster. I came to Lancaster University, studied religious studies, but it was very much ancient religion and mythology, specializing in sort of like Judeo-Christianity mythology, especially with sort of like Lucifer and Abaddon, but also ancient Hinduism, the main sort of like thrust of what I was doing. So I have a vast library, and it is a library because it's well over 1,000 books, of sort of like books on everything you could want. There's a very little bit there, and the rest of it in my study next to the cot. And I can't get to them at the moment. But there we go. No, so yeah, I do a lot of sort of like reading on the history of things, history and mythology things. But then there's just the random stuff. So like, could you be killed by an onion or whatever? That sort of thing, when you have to Google it. And then you can end up going down a real rabbit hole, what other root vegetable is the most lethal, because it's interesting. And you may not end up using it in the book, but, you have to get a little itch.
Yeah, I kind of set yourself kind of limits or curb your own research, otherwise you find yourself going off in tangents that you never knew existed.
Yeah, I never have limits.
I just have the idea you're going to have a dinner party one day and you go, do you know an onion could kill you? You're like, oh, please tell me more.
You never know. It's one of those little things, You never know when you need the information,
I must admit that I put that you can never have too much to research. I mean, even if you only got to see 10% of that research, that 90% will kind of inform your writing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's even if you don't refer directly to something, there's going to be something in the background which makes something else evolve, and you could just use it somewhere else as well. You could come back to it and say, "Oh, that was a good thing," so I can go back and reuse that.
Yeah, it adds verisimilitude to what you're writing, having that knowledge there. I mean, when I was interviewing Peter Hamilton last week, I was mentioned I can read one of his books, and they kind of both the epic in scope, but loads of details, absolute doorstops. I mean, you're talking about the size of my head.
Yeah.
And I could come out with one of the books knowing how to build a rocket. I read his first one, which was the Night's Dawn trilogy. And yes, I now know how to build a spaceship.
Oh, fantastic.
And just because there's so much depth and information there. And it's like, you kind of got a glazed expression of going, okay. Because when Neil's downloading like Kung Fu, it's a bit like that. You go, okay.
Yeah.
You kind of come out some of a glazed expression of going, okay, right. Just need to get a fusion reactor.
You get all sorts on eBay these days, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
Oh, actually, have any of you been around Cullum, the Fusion Research Centre there?
No.
If you get the chance, because they do have open days where they can invite members of the public to visit it, it's basically the Fusion Research Centre, and it shows you the current status of the JET and the MASS. The JET is the Joint European Torus fusion reactor, and I can't remember what the MASS stands for. But yeah, basically, they are literally working experimental fusion reactors. And they are huge. Literally, a fusion reactor is the size of your house. And it's stored in something the size of a small aircraft hangar.
Yeah.
And when you're walking around it, it's just going, okay, this is cool. I mean, if you don't come out of that feeling inspired, going, I want to be an engineer or I want to do science, then you are just, your soul is dead. Because when you see this colossal reactor there, it's just like, okay, science is cool. Yeah, and I mean, like I'm quite lucky. Like I've got to walk into put my head in the center of a fusion reactor, which is hotter than when it's working, it's hotter than the sun. And it's going okay. This is
Please
cool.
don't turn it on.
Yeah, I just wouldn't go in there.
Oh,
My paranoia would be like, no, the fail safe would fail. I would cry instantly.
actually, one thing as well you mentioned about kind of like setting things in time, like especially near future, and that's what technology as well is technology is evolving so quickly. Something you've written now technologically will be obsolete in 5, 10 years.
Yeah, there's certain things I try to avoid referring to websites.
Yeah.
I try to avoid using day-to-day technology too much. Obviously, you've got mobile phones in there, you've got computers, but I try to avoid something which I think, yeah, that could go obsolete. Because I know, like I say, I started writing in 2012, Sam casebook, but the stories they're set over about 6 months. So the technology in the books shouldn't change too much, but obviously technology from people's perspective reading it is going to change a lot. There's the divergence which happens as the apocalypse sort of event is about 1,000 years in the future. We have this period happen where, not too many spoilers, but basically angels are walking the earth. Something has happened, and so we have this 1,000 years of peace before things go wrong again. So I make a couple of references to when people are talking back about certain things, technology, how that has advanced. I have this thing where they make a type of concrete where you can change the color of it electronically. So you build your building and then press a button. No, I want a red one. No, I want a green one. Blue one. And the other thing, of course, has to be space travel.
Yeah.
Over 1,000 years, we will have gone into space. And I basically have it, they find nothing. There's nothing else out there apart from us in this particular universe.
What I like as well is when you get something and they play into the anachronism, like they will really go, yeah, obviously we wrote this so long ago, we didn't think about technology in the future and what actually come. Red Dwarf is a very good example because I'm not the biggest fan of the Back to Earth specials, but they have a really good bit when they're in the shop and he goes, "Crike, what's this?" He goes, "This is a DVD, sir. This is what most video outlets were using to put out films. Yes, and it got replaced with the modern technology that we know now. What, you mean video cassettes? Yes, sir." It's like, I love that bit.
I like the explanation as well, which was because people kept losing the disc, we never lose the VHS cassette. So it's like, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I love things like that. I love it when they just purposely go, even like the first Alien film. Like, you look at the technology in that, it's like, that looks so dated now, but they stick with it. They really do.
But having said that, you kind of got the iPod vision of the future in like the in this prequel films, which was Prometheus and so on. And then with Alien, they kind of gone back to that kind of retro futuristic look because he said Prometheus looks shit. And it did. It lacked that kind of workhorse, functional technology rather than like the kind of because again, like yes, it looks futuristic, but it doesn't look
like like prequel trilogy for Star Wars. There's so many things that look so much more advanced, and they did say in the original trilogy. And then that's why one thing I think I did enjoy with the sequel trilogy is that they tried to dial it back a bit. They did try to make it look like, we are keeping the aesthetic of what was in the original trilogy, like especially when you've got the like the spaceship battles and you see the screens are it looks like episode 4 again. You're like, I like that little touch. I like when they go and practical effects as well. When they go, oh no, we're gonna have a puppet. We're not gonna do it all CGI. It's like just little things like that just really work for me.
You get sort of historical films
Hmm.
where everybody's wearing clothes which are too new.
Hmm.
They've literally just come off a hanger. Whereas, your Robin Hood, your clothes should be patched, they should be dirty, they should be falling apart because you live in a forest. You should look like you are sitting behind a tree, not sort of like, oh yes, I've got a nice camper van and come back out and my hair's been coiffed like Errol Flynn. Yeah,
Or,
really.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I do like these kind of modern historical epics where everyone's makeup's perfect. Everyone looks like them.
Everyone's got
Glorious,
perfect teeth.
a perfect teeth, and also like clean hair. Like, no. No. I mean, you mentioned you had to have a reading for us.
Sorry?
Did you say you had a reading for us?
Oh yes, I do. Right.
Excellent.
I bet you thought, oh, I ain't got to do that there.
I ain't gotta do
Perfect.
that. Too busy chatting.
Reading. Oh,
Right. Yeah. So, let's see if I get this wretched thing to work. Come on, turn on. Thank you. Oh, technology, you gotta love it. Where did I put the wretched thing? There we go.
again, we can cut in the edit.
We can do the edit. Yeah. Oh, I've lost the wretched thing now. There we go. Right, come on. Oh, this is what happens if you try to read something which hasn't been published yet. So you have to do it. Contents. Do the contents? Yeah, there you go for the contents. Chapter 1. Ah, right. Okay, right. So I've found this immediately and we've not edited anything out whatsoever. So yeah, I mentioned earlier my latest book. I think I mentioned this earlier, or was it before we started film? I can't remember. It's a long time ago, few hundred years, whatever. Time is all immaterial. I had a new book come out today called Child of Fire, which is set in the Spallucci-verse. And oh yeah, we did talk about this in first person present. And I had to channel my teenage girl sort of personality, whatever you do at the weekends. And so Amanda is living the idyllic suburban life down in Sale, just outside of Manchester, before everything starts going wrong. But we get a hint that things aren't quite right from the word go, because she's having these weird nightmares. Now, I'm going to put this out there. The nightmare is sort of based on a song by a musician. Oh, how many clues do you want?
Oh, okay. Hang on. Can we do it that me and Pete have a couple of clues each?
Okay, right. So he was a friend of Mike Oldfield's,
Oh.
and he is deceased, and he has featured in one of my books.
Ozzy Osbourne.
He's just featured in one of my books in a dream sequence. There you go.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Just featured in one book.
Ozzy.
No, it's not Ozzy. I'll read you the extract.
Okay.
See if you can guess who it was, because they're sort of like based on the lyrics from one of his. I think it's one of his more famous songs. It's one of my favorites anyway. Right.
Okay.
Chapter 1. Come to me, my child. The familiar stone staircase is cold under my bare feet. My white nightgown provides. Yeah, I remember I'm 16. I'm not 54-year-old dude. Provides very little protection from the chill night air, and goosebumps prickle my skin as I climb ever higher. There is no handrail, so I am forced to reach out with my left hand and steady myself as best as I can against the crumbling stone masonry of the tower. The only light I possess comes from the small candle I hold in my right hand, its tiny flame guttering and dancing in the breeze. My heart is pounding and I feel sick with terror, but I know that there is no way back now. All I can do is climb ever higher. All I can do is climb towards the voice. Come to me, my child. I hear it again from higher up the spiral staircase. It is quiet, masculine, and reassuring, yet it terrifies me. The candle flickers and I make to scream out, desperate not to be plunged into darkness, but the flame survives, allowing me to glimpse the top of the staircase. There's a door there, an old wooden door. It looks like it has been made from strips of a large tree and has two enormous black hinges to the left. Steadying myself, I snatch my hand away from the wall and reach out, only to find out to my horror, there is no handle. Come to me, my child. The voice is more insistent this time. It is calling from behind the door, but I can't reach it. I can't break through. There is a deep rumbling sound behind me, and I feel the tower begin to shake, just as it always does. The staircase is beginning to collapse. I hammer on the door with my free hand, but no one answers. I cry out that I want to come in, that I want to walk through this door, to escape the tower that is falling apart around me. But no one answers, and the stairs continue to crumble away behind me. I scream louder and louder. As I do, the flame on the candle increases in size, and the coal that has pursued me up the stairs is no more. The fire is not just burning atop a small wax stick, but deep inside of me. I press my hand firmly against the wood of the door as the last of the stairs crack apart behind me, and I concentrate, feeling the all-consuming heat building up within me.
That is very cool.
Thank you. So go on then. Who's the singer? An extra bonus if you get the song as well.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
Nope. No,
Okay.
no, we're going back. We're going early 70s.
Oh, and you said this person has passed.
He is passed, and he was probably the mentor of Mike Oldfield. Mike Oldfield was in his band before.
Oh God. I'm drawing a blank. You're hearing them words as well. I'm like, I'm sure I should know.
Any clue, Pete?
Cool.
What makes it worse? It pisses me off because I absolutely love music and I know so much, but it's one of the things you can feel it scratching in your mind. It's like I can't get it. And the only person I can think of who done any collaborations with Mike Oldfield is like Maggie Riley on Moonlight Shadow. That's the only thing I can think of.
Oh, we're going a good decade before then.
And obviously
he did collaborate with Mike Oldfield probably about 3 years after Moonlight Shadow on the Islands record.
Shit. Wasn't Bowie, was it?
No, it wasn't Bowie.
No, I didn't think it was. Oh God. Oh no.
Similar period.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I just had the name in my head. It's gone. No, I'm drawing a blank.
No,
I really
sorry.
am.
Okay, you're on. Right, Kevin Ayres. Lady Rachel. It's I listened to. I discovered Kevin Ayres literally a few months before he died.
Okay.
Because I obviously knew his existence, and sort of like Oldfield was very much, in awe of him when he was younger. Because Oldfield was about 16 when he was his bass player, and then he went off and did Tubular Bells in '73, and the rest, as I say, history. But yeah, I think Velvet Underground was the band.
Yes, I know Velvet Underground very well.
And it was just I love the music. And then Ghost from the Past, I quote Dr. Dream, which is another one of his sort of like more out there tracks. And fun story, when I contacted Warner Chappell, I said, look, I want to use these lyrics. And it was literally about a few months after he died. And they said, oh, right. We'll get back to you. We'll contact the estate and see what they want to do. They got back to me and they said give 50 quid to charity.
Wow.
She said just he wouldn't want the lyrics being paid for. Give them to a charity of your choice and make it in the book.
I think it comes down to what it's being used for and how respectful it is. And I guess that's a nice response as well. They went, just do a donation charity. Any charity? Yeah, go on.
I love watching how political parties use different music.
Oh, God, yeah.
Especially when Trump's how the Republicans used "Killing in the Name."
Oh, that's not what I thought you was going to go with for a second then.
And basically, like, you just used a Rage Against the Machine track, and you thought you could get away with it.
Yeah.
Oh God, I thought you were going to talk about where he kept playing YMCA.
Oh yes,
and where he just it's like he's so like punching himself in the face. Or doing something else that I've say it was like with 2 people by side anyway.
But yeah, it was just when they used kind of "Killing in the Name," it's just like going, you're obviously missing the point of the band massively.
Yeah.
Mm.
There we go.
Yeah. And like I think it's Tom Morello actually pointed out, guys, you are the machine. That's what we're raging against.
Yeah. Also, we'll be careful what we say about Trump because he does have a history of trying to get rid of people that he doesn't like.
No, that's Putin.
Yeah. Well, when I say he gets rid of people, he takes them off of air, like not he. They end up falling out of a
So
window.
if Trump would like to kind of like take on Geek Pride, go ahead. We could do like there's a stress and effect in action completely.
Yeah, that's right. We get shut down for a week and then we come back with our best ever ratings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, you before we wrap up for tonight, you mentioned you'd like to have a quiz for us, Jon Jo.
I have. So this is always tricky because I try to write a few rounds of different things, and it's trying to find something that can, um, sit with someone. So there is a choice, and as a guest, you can pick the first round. There are only three questions, but the choices are this is how my mind goes. The Last of Us, Metal Gear Solid, X-Men, or Wallace and Gromit.
Oh dear Lord. It's going to be X-Men or Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be rubbish at either. If my son's watching this, he's going to be screaming X-Men. And go on, let's go for X-Men.
Okay, so here we go. X-Men. Question number 1.
Is this the films, the comics, the TV series?
I'd say it's more on the comic side, but it can factor into the films as well.
Okay.
So here we go. Question number 1. Which character becomes the Dark Phoenix?
Do I just shout it out?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jean Grey.
Yeah. No. Pete's gonna pick one of the other rounds to play. He's not. He's not doing X-Men.
All right.
Okay. Question number 2. What fictional metal is fused to the skeleton of Wolverine's body?
Oh, adamantium.
It is adamantium. And question number 3. Cassandra Nova is the twin sister of which other character?
That's Rex.
3 out of 3. See, there we go. That wasn't bad.
Not bad.
So this is where it's going to be interesting because out of the 3 I've got on here, Last of Us, Metal Gear Solid, and Wallace and Gromit, for some reason I think you're going to go Wallace and Gromit.
Well, it's not going to go with Last of Us on the grounds that I don't have a PlayStation.
Yeah.
When you say Metal Gear Solid, are you just talking about the first game or the entire franchise?
2 questions are on the first game, and 1 question is on the third game.
Which one's the third game?
Snake Eater.
Okay, then it's going to have to be Wallace and Gromit then, because I've not played Snake Eater.
Fair enough. Okay, here we go then. Question number 1 on Wallace and Gromit. What kind of animal is Jewel Thief Feathers McGraw?
Well, is the animal he's pretending to be
What he identifies as.
what he identifies as, or what he is actually?
What he is actually.
Penguin.
He is a penguin. Question number 2. Bitzer, Shirley, and Timmy are characters that appear in which spin-off show?
My children would hate me. I've got this wrong. Shaun the Sheep.
It is Shaun the Sheep. And a very charming show as well. I do enjoy
that one.
Yeah. And number 3, I think this is probably one of the easiest questions I've ever written. In A Grand Day Out, where do Wallace and Gromit travel to when they run out of cheese?
The moon.
They go to the moon indeed. That's 3 out of 3 as well. I feel like we need a tiebreaker. I normally have a tiebreaker set up, but all right, let's go with something just off the top of my head. Okay, so whoever gets the closest is the winner. In what year did Star Trek The Next Generation first air?
1986.
1986.
I'm going to go 1987.
Peter, you are bang on. 1987.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Still worse than the Star Trek shows.
What?
Star Trek Deep Space Nine is far better.
I do love Deep Space Nine. I can't deny that.
Yeah.
But worse though.
It got so boring.
Yeah, but I mean, especially when you watch back through that first season, I think,
It's painful.
yeah,
Yeah,
but there are certain episodes where I was watching it thinking, hey, wait, this actually carried on, and they then went. But then obviously season two was just like, yeah, we know what we're doing now. We
And we're going to do the same thing again and again every episode.
they're saying that though. I do have a soft spot for Enterprise.
Yeah, yeah. But no, Deep Space Nine, Jetson, and Next Generation. You don't need it. There's no. They have an entire story about these aliens infesting the officers of Starfleet, the Federation.
Hmm.
They cover it, and then the episode ends, and everything's back to normal. Let's start the next episode. You could have an entire series based on the uncovering that conspiracy, but no, they're going to do something absolutely banal, probably involving the Doctor falling in love with a dead man who comes back as a ghost, and oh dear, no. Banal writing was absolutely vacuous storytelling. And we probably lost about half our listeners, so I apologize.
Do you know, Joe, what the horrible thing is? As much as there's part of me thinking, like, oh my goodness, I can't agree with this. There's part of me almost going, oh God, I can see it now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the worst thing when I there is that part of me that almost goes,
It's repetitive. It is vacuous. It is just one of the problems with, especially with Next Generation, is that Roddenberry, he was absolutely adamant that the people in the future are at their best. They are, perfection, and they do they do not have character traits. They do not fall out with each other, and suddenly you lost all the drama. And that is the problem.
Yeah.
On that happy note, everyone go and read A Child on Fire. It's an absolutely brilliant story, and we're looking forward to reading it ourselves. And let's say thank you very much to Austin Chambers. So, for those that are listening, where can they find you, and how can you be found? Where can they find your books?
I have a very dark and brooding website, aschambers.co.uk. There are links to everywhere. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky. I have a Patreon site as well, which you can subscribe to for free. There is the paid side of it, which doesn't have sort of like those sorts of photographs of which you might be expecting, but you do get books and you get extracts. I have been asked for an OnlyFans. This has been referred to as my OnlyFans top. I have clothes on underneath it. There's no hair showing. But no, Patreon you can subscribe to for free, and you'll get newsletters and stuff, or you could just subscribe to newsletter through the website aschambers.co.uk. Child of Fire currently is out on Amazon. Indie ones will follow later on in the week, but links will be on the website.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. A.S. Chambers. And when you got next week coming out, please come back on the podcast. We'd like to know how it goes.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And this has been Peter Allison saying thank you and good night.